Okay, guys, I attempted to do this on Facebook Live and it just showed the cascading video the whole time. So my apologies. I'm going to have to do this again. And it's kind of coincidence that I'm talking about being efficient and streamlining processes when I am completely redoing this process. So hang with me here. But today I wanted to talk about how to run your business like a CEO. So oftentimes when I'm working with entrepreneurs, um, at first you're wearing all the hats and it is challenging. And so people are a little inconsistent. So they don't really have processes. They're just kind of here and there and everywhere. And they don't have like their time scheduled over their week, and they don't have tasks documented, or they don't have procedures written. And so it's just a little inconsistent and they're not as efficient as they could be. And so if you feel like you're there right now, that's okay. I hope that these tips will be helpful for you and you can kind of decide which small steps you can take to run your business like a CEO. So be more consistent, have processes in place, be a little bit more efficient in your business. So let's dive right in. So with weekly, a lot of this content, it's going to depend on your industry and whether you're creating content and whatnot. But I'll try to make this broad, but just know that not all of this is going to apply to you. So if it doesn't, try to think of a way where it might apply to another area of your business. So weekly, I would recommend batching your content. So this could include if you have a blog, if you are posting on social media, if you have a YouTube channel, whatever it is, try to set aside one day or maybe even half a day to just create all of your content. And the idea or goal here is to reuse one piece of content for all of your social media platforms, and to possibly make it where you could even reuse it in the future. So for example, if I have a blog post, I will take that and I will split it out, and I will take little bits and pieces and just put it into like a mini post for Instagram and Facebook. I post to Instagram and Facebook at the same time. If I ever do a blog post or some of my social media too, like I will post to Pinterest as well at the same time. I try to use like video, for example, with Facebook and YouTube, it has to be in a horizontal dimension. Instagram with the IGTV video or with your story, it has to be vertically. So if I'm doing a video, I will try to record in both formats at the same time. So those are just some ideas to try to batch your content and make the most of your time. And hopefully your technology works and you don't have to redo it like I did. I would also recommend reviewing your CRM. So CRM stands for Client Retention Management. So there are different tools to keep track of who you contacted, who are warm leads, who converted to clients, all of that. And so you may have a list of all of these people that you have not contacted, but you think might be interested in your business. You'll have a list of those that you have contacted. You have a list of those who are warm leads. So either somebody referred them to you, or they've been interacting with your social media, or they asked you a question, or they filled out an interest card, something like that. And then you'll have a list of those who you pitched to or made an offer or whatnot. And then you'll have obviously a list of clients or customers. So there are different tools that you can use for that. One is, there are a few different. So Salesforce, there is a cost with that. It's very dynamic. You can do a lot with it. It connects to your email. Some cheaper options are Dubsado and HubSpot. I don't really have a personal preference between these two. It just depends. Various people have recommended both. I can't really say, I don't think that one is better suited for a particular industry. I think it just depends on your personal preferences. So I would recommend looking at that weekly, and what I like to do is that way I know who is my number one prioritized lead that I'm going to continue to serve and focus on, or who is somebody that I made a pitch to that I need to follow up with. And then who are maybe a few people who I need to try to get in front of, like they might be interested, but I haven't even talked to them yet. So I like to review this weekly. Some people review that monthly, but for me, that's just such a high priority that I like to know. I'm a big fan of the one thing, like what is going to move your needle the furthest? You need to make money in this business. So you need to attract customers and clients. So for me, this is my biggest priority, and I like to look at it weekly. With monthly, if you do have employees, it doesn't matter if they're independent contractors or actual employees, you need to be having one-on-one meetings with them. So feedback is a gift. You have to give feedback to your employees so that they know how they're contributing to the company and how they're doing. And you need to articulate what the vision is behind your business, what your goals are. And then you also need to be communicating, what does a good job look like? What do you need to do specifically to get a promotion or to do a good job in your role? So I like to schedule those in advance, and I highly, highly recommend do not schedule your one-on-one meetings. Your employees need to know that they are a priority, and it sends the wrong message when you are canceling those meetings. Also, reconcile your books or your transactions. So if you have a bookkeeper, great, check this off the list. If you don't, this may be the most painful part of your business, but I highly recommend just going through your transactions. You can set up an accounting system. It will sync to your bank account, pull in the transactions, and then it will categorize them for you, but you can make adjustments to categorize that income and the expenses. If you're doing this monthly, then it's not such a big headache at the end of the year. So trust me, it does pay off. It depends on how many transactions you have, but for most businesses, for small businesses, it should only take like an hour or two once a month. I also recommend having your team meetings. So kind of same idea with the one-on-one meetings, but you want to have the whole team. This is where you're going to communicate, how did we do this month? What are our goals? What do we need to work on? What do we need to improve? Things like that. You should also have a dashboard or a scorecard of your KPIs, your key performance indicators. So what was our goal for revenue this month? Did we hit it? Did we make as many calls as we wanted to? Did we produce as many products or widgets as we wanted? You want to have just your basic indicators that are big goals for your company. You want to be monitoring those monthly. You will also want to, while you can plan out specific weekly emails like newsletters weekly, I recommend setting up a spreadsheet or some kind of document where you know I'm going to send this first email to this group on month A, and then in 2 weeks I'm going to send this email and it's going to have this content, and then this one, and then this one. That way you have an idea of who you're sending which content to, and that you're not duplicating content, and that you have a plan for how to consistently serve your email list. So if you don't have an email list, like, ignore this part. But oftentimes the reason people are not serving their email list or getting in contact with them is they just haven't thought through, and they don't ever take the time to plan for it. So as you know, your email list has a higher engagement rate and conversion rate than social media. So this is important. Lastly, I recommend reflecting on your month and then planning ahead. So again, this could be with the team, but then also you could look at it personally too. So look back on your calendar and look at, like, how did I spend my time? And was I productive? And am I filling my cup with the things that make me happy? Do I need to be scheduling more time with my family? Do I need to be scheduling more time with my friends? And then with your business as well, looking at, are we doing a good job? Like, are we hitting our goals? Why are we not hitting those KPIs in our dashboard? And what can we do to improve? You'll also want to be planning ahead for the next month of like, okay, this is what's going on next month. This is what what steps we need to take in order to be prepared for X launch or for Y campaign. So those are some things to do monthly. I want to come back to, I kind of talked about like, how do you integrate your business and your personal life and your priorities? So I've said this before, but we all go through seasons of life and you have to prioritize different things during different seasons of your life. So one exercise that you can do to get a good handle on what you should be prioritizing is to list 4 to 5 roles that you play in your life. For example, it could be spouse, parent, friend, business owner, and then something else. So whatever is most important to you, and then rank those with how you think you're doing. Is this a season of life where you really need to be focused on your business, or do you need to be focused more on your family? Do you need to be focused more on your friends, and do you have capacity for that? What is a priority for you during this time? Then, as you time block your week, you can look at, like for me, these habits, habit 1, habit 2, habit 3, those are probably going to be the areas that I identified as low ranking roles. So maybe I need to be scheduling date night. Maybe I need to be working out every day. Maybe I need to be more mindful with my children, whatever it is. And what is like an actionable thing that you can do to schedule to make sure that it gets done. So if it's not on your, I think Marie Forleo says, if it's not on your calendar, it's not going to get done, or it's not a priority. So if you value your marriage or your kids, make sure that you're scheduling time with them, or scheduling activities or vacations or whatever. Make sure that you're scheduling that in so it gets done. And then for me, I spend Monday, Wednesday, Fridays having my client calls. I will also prepare content. On Fridays, I am planning ahead for the next week. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, those are my travel days and when I'm meeting with prospective clients. So this is a time blocking example. A general rule of thumb is 70% of your time should be focused on revenue generating activities. So that would be calls with your clients, and then calls with your prospective clients, and then 30% should be to operational things. So if you do have a social media presence, you know that there is this struggle between, it takes time to produce content and to put all that out there, but just make sure that that's not taking all of your time and that you're still keeping a good pulse on the revenue generating activities. And if you need to outsource or hire somebody to help you, then look at, okay, I'm probably going to outsource these operational activities because my time is better spent on the revenue generating activities. So that's just a good thing that might help you. Okay, so as we shift into quarterly, review your processes and procedures. So for every single task that you have in your business, you should have a procedure written up for that. I know a lot of you are panicking right now, thinking like, what, are you crazy? But truly, if you have team members, you need to have procedures written for that. It just helps with, as you have employee turnover, that way everything is ready to go for the new employee. And it also helps with as things change amongst team members, or if you are going to start delegating something to an employee, if you already have a procedure written up for that task, it just makes it so much easier. Processes would be like, for example, client intake or moving a client through the process. So do they fill out a form on the website, and then who does that go to? And then what's the follow-up process for that? Do we have an automated response that goes right to them, or does somebody have to make sure that they respond? And then how involved is the business owner? Do you have employees that can help you with that, or are you the one that needs to respond? Could you maybe have an email template set up, or could you have, is it something that you could use like a tool for? It just depends on how complex the process is. But think of this as like flow chart, like having a flow chart of your processes and who touches it and at what point and what the turnaround time is and what exactly goes on at each step in the process. So you're reviewing that, making sure that they're getting done, and that if we have any new processes or tasks that we are documenting them. You can also be looking at your website. So fixing broken links, adding new opt-ins. You should be updating your SEO tags or those keywords every so often. That does help with your search performance. So a good tool that you can use for that is Uber Suggest, UBER Suggest. It's free. It will do a quick check of your website to make sure that there aren't any broken links, and it will tell you how to improve. Annually, you should be looking at your, you should be conducting a survey of your customers and of your employees to get a feel for what are you doing well, what do you need to work on, and take those very seriously. Okay, one question I get is whether it should be anonymous or not. It depends. I feel like most people are doing anonymous. When you get to employee surveys, there's research that indicates that anonymous surveys are not as effective as like employees should have accountability and should have enough trust with their managers and with the business owners to be able to have those candid conversations with them. But as we all know, for a lot of organizations, these are anonymous because you want as many customers and employees to respond as possible. So anonymous is fine. But yeah, so make sure that you're taking that feedback seriously and that you're willing to make changes. I would also recommend looking back at your past year and how you did financially. Did you hit your revenue goal? What areas did you spend the most money on? Did you hit your financial metrics like your profit margin and your return on equity, things like that? And then planning ahead for the next year. So what is our revenue goal going to be? And which expenses do we need to cut, or which expenses are we anticipating are going to go up or down, things like that. You can also use, so QuickBooks is a very popular option for preparing financial statements and for reconciling your books or your transactions. There is a cost to that. Wave is free, it does all the same things as QuickBooks. And then Pixify is a new tool that I just learned about, and it's geared towards like creatives and photographers, but it does a lot of things. So it does keep track of projects, and you can kind of it keeps track of projects, and then which team members are touching it. But then it also will categorize your expenses. So that's something that you could look into. You should also be doing performance reviews. So again, feedback, how your employee is doing should not be a surprise. It should not receive feedback only once a year in their performance review. And your performance review should be tied to the job description. So the job description should be tied to the company's goals and the employee's goals. Hopefully they have some kind of career development plan so that they know I'm at point A, but if I want to get a promotion, I need to be at point B, and this is my development plan for developing those skills that I need to get to that. And then your performance review should be based on that. Did they hit those goals? Did they complete those goals? And do they deserve a raise or a promotion? So those should all be tied together in order to have engaged and motivated employees. So to wrap this up, I have a few other tools. So I get asked, should I be using Google Drive or Dropbox? I recommend using Google Drive for just like normal Word documents and Excel documents, whether it's between your clients or team members. But for large files like pictures and video, I recommend Dropbox. It just has more storage space. People have actually lost their files through Google Drive. As far as creating content, so just a quick tip from me, this is what I prefer to do for social media. I will listen to podcasts or I will take notes based on questions that I get asked from prospective clients or existing clients, and I'll just keep a running list of different topics and ideas that I could talk about, and I'll do that on my phone. And then I will record my voice so that it's authentic and I can just get it done. I will do like record my voice in a voice memo as a first draft and then clean it up as I get ready to post. And that has helped me get the content out there quickly. That way I'm not spending 30 minutes on one social media post. You can also schedule your posts in advance. You can use Later for Instagram. With Facebook, you can do that through Facebook. For Pinterest, you can use Tailwind. There are a lot of different options out there, but those are probably the most common. And I believe Later is free for Instagram. As far as keeping track of your time, I recommend keeping track of your time and your employees' time so that as you're looking at projects, you know how long it takes. And then you can also calculate the return on your time by project or by employee or by client. And if you're not tracking your time, it's impossible to do that. So Clockify is a free app that you can download to your computer, and then it keeps track of like your Windows applications. So if you have anything where you're out in the field, you're obviously going to have to add that in manually. Asana is a good tool that you can use to keep track of projects, or like the example I used of a new client coming in and onboarding a client. You can keep track of that, and all of the team members can see it and see who is working on which part of it through Asana. CRM, I already talked about that, and accounting I already talked about. So if you have any questions, or if you are already doing something that I did not mention, I would love to know. Please comment on this. But thank you for your time, and I will talk to you guys next Monday.